Hello everyone, here I'm looking at Metroid Other M. Yeah, this one was not great. It's funny, I played this back in the day and revisiting some of my Wii games, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't remember anything about this game. And coming back to it, it's very, very weird because this does not feel like a Metroid game at all. And that's not just me saying it as someone who enjoys the Metroid series and the Prime series as well. It's just very, very strange and honestly very forgettable for that reason, because it doesn't fit into the Metroid universe. I mean, it technically does. I mean, the entire story is that Samus finds an abandoned ship. There's a bunch of GFS guys who show up, and they decide to take command of an operation to secure the ship and stop, the Metroids inside and whatever space pirates or whatever that appear in the game. So, I mean, the first thing that I think is really interesting and actually not bad about the game is the control scheme. It's very innovative, where it uses the singular stick control of the Wii. And, before this, Metroid Prime 3 had come out, don't forget. So that was kind of like their big release for the Metroid series, and then this game comes out, and it kind of felt at the time like kind of a spin-off or something, but it was published by Nintendo and had like the golden seal, so like, okay, cool, so maybe they're trying to do a 2D Metroid sub-series or something. And in this game itself, it definitely has that DNA of the 2D Metroid games where you're going through corridors and you're going either up or down or straight or across. But what's really interesting, it's a 2.5D environment, so you can actually move around the hallways and stuff. And it's very innovative, and it's a lot of things that I think people think they wanted, I think they liked and wanted from a Metroid game. And I mean, this is probably one of the reasons why we didn't get a new Metroid anything until Dread for so many years, because I think Nintendo was dreading making another Metroid Other M, and people getting really upset about it because it was just more of the same. And so, I mean, everything is kind of here, from things like Super Metroid, where you have your beam, your charge beam, ice elements. You have your boost power, which is activated just by running. You don't have to press anything. You have, your screw attack, all your classic 2D Metroid stuff, but in a pseudo 3D space. And, it's fine. I mean, one thing I really honestly don't like is actually the redesign of Samus's arm cannon. It's not really chunky and big anymore. It's more aquiline and narrow. And it doesn't complement the rest of her suit at all, because her suit is a bulky, thick, acrobatic suit. It's very dynamic, and it's a very interesting, weird suit, and the gun itself does not fit with the look and design and the feel of it. But that being said, also enemy variety is not great. They're not very tough. They die in a few hits. They're not super interesting. Also, there is technically scanning somewhat in this game, where it's actually pretty cool, where as you're using the Wiimote, you're using the D-pad to navigate and the 1 and 2 buttons to jump and shoot. But if you actually aim the Wiimote at the screen, it goes into first-person mode immediately, and then you can start looking around the environments, fire in first-person mode. And then the control scheme also switches, where instead of pressing the A button to go to morph ball mode, it actually shoots missiles. And so while you can't navigate in first person mode, you can do more damage that way. So there's kind of a trade-off, and it's really seamless how it goes in between the two, and it's actually, it's pretty good. It's not bad. And yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the gameplay I can talk about here. And now we have to get into talking about the story, which is the most controversial part of this game. Now, my take on this is that I don't really have the exact same issues that other people did with this game. Yeah, it's super annoying that Adam, they have the new lore reason why Samus doesn't have all of her powers that she used to, is that she's not authorized to use them. So as the mission goes on, it gets more and more dire. Samus is able to use more and more of her powers. And, people are like, oh, how dare Adam, whatever. It's like, okay, fine. It's kind of like a dumb lore reason, but it's not really that bad. In any case, how do I feel about the story? Well, regardless of what you feel about the story, it's just not Metroid. I don't know what tone they were going for, but this game is very cinematic, and not in a good way. I mean, of this 8 to 10 hour game, 2 hours of that are cutscenes. I just saw it as I was looking up the walkthroughs for this game, that the entire movie portion of this game is almost 2 hours. So they really went hard on doing story and narrative, and you think that'd be good, but the writing here is just really awful. Like, there's one part where she's describing Adam, and she says verbatim, "Oh, he's like my distant father figure character that I want to connect to, but I can't," or something. But they say verbatim father figure character. Like, that is the definition of telling and not showing. You want the audience to feel that through the actions, and there's just so much monologuing. There's so much, and the thing I forgot about this game is that Samus speaks in this game, and she speaks a lot, and she speaks a lot about her feelings and her internal ideas. It's almost a little bit similar to what they did with Master Chief in Halo 4, where he's not exactly monologuing, but his character completely changed, where he's trying to be more emotive, and he's more, how do I say, like, he's more talkative. I remember immediately I noticed this when I started Halo 4, and he busts out of the chamber, and he says something really quickly to Cortana, a bunch of information all at once, and that's just not his character. So they tried to expand on the character and make him more human, and it's not like the same thing, but no, it actually is the exact same thing here. They're trying to humanize Samus. They're trying to take this woman in a hunk of metal and say who she really is, what's her real story. And it just, I don't mind that in theory, but the way they do it and the way it comes across in this game is so heavy-handed and so try-hard that I feel it misses the point. It just doesn't feel good, and more importantly, it doesn't feel Metroid. It's a very different game with a Metroid barrier on it. And at first, the cutscenes, they're all kind of cool. They're kind of dynamic. They zoom in. There's camera shake. They have the GFS soldiers. There's that really emphasis on, kind of the pseudo-military aspect of it. Ridley's in this one. There's a lot more combat. It's a lot more intense, where Samus is going up close and doing melee attacks or kind of, finisher moves on enemies. And it all looks and sounds good, but it just feels wrong, and it feels phoned in, and it feels not Metroid. I mean, another thing too is just the color scheme, is that the visuals and the color scheme in the Prime games were so important to the atmosphere, and in this game, how to describe it, everything is very color segmented. Like, the aliens are very bright purples and greens and blues, and they pop out of the environment, but in a way that makes it feel like they really don't belong, and it feels very, I don't know, clunky or weird or something. Like, oh wow, yeah, they really, really pop out of the environment. And there's a lot of things I think about Metroid, and I think one of the main things that comes to mind is atmosphere, and that is one thing that Other M just has nothing of, is there is no atmosphere. And there's a lot of things here that, again, sound good in theory, like an HD combat game, but Metroid's a badass, and she has a real story, and there's CG cutscenes of her without her armor when she was younger, and she's going through the struggle, and then she's has this combat sequence where she puts the gun in the guy's mouth. It feels like something that a fan of Metroid would make, rather than the actual creators behind Metroid, if that makes sense. And it's just weird, honestly. I don't really hate this game. I don't even have an emotion around it. I know a lot of people hate Other M, but for me, it's just, I don't know. I don't feel anything about it. It's not a Metroid game to me. And honestly, I forgot it existed. I thought of, even a classic Metroid, a Metroid Prime, and this one didn't even come up on my radar. I literally forgot I had it. Yes, it's on a spaceship, and there are different biomes on the spaceship, though. There's a kind of a foresty green area. There's kind of a snow level, but they're all in the context of a spaceship. And the environments just feel dead. They just don't feel vibrant. They feel like they're just there for you to explore and go through. And you could argue that Super Metroid and the 2D ones were like that too, but in Prime everything was alive and vibrant. But even here it just feels not lazy, just flat. It feels lifeless. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's not Metroid, and it's not anything else that's really good. If it was a standalone game, I still wouldn't like it. Again, the cutscenes, I think it's really cool seeing Samus when she's younger, in her civilian clothes. You get to see her Zero suit. There's a lot of dynamics and a lot of different versions of this character you're seeing for the first time. And the only way I can describe it is that none of it feels genuine. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I'm watching this character, I'm watching her go through the motions to talk about Mother Brain and, the baby Metroid, but what's going through my mind is like, that's not Samus. This just doesn't feel like the same character. And there's just so much dialogue and exposition that it just, I don't know. This is like the DMC to Devil May Cry. This is the black hair Dante that, and like, it's not even they've done anything like that where they've changed her hair color or changed her thing. Well, I did notice though that in this game she definitely has green eyes, and I'm almost very certain in the other game she has blue eyes. That's like the one difference I noticed, but it's the kind of a difference I would expect that they would change a lot of things about her. Like, this is a game where I would expect Samus to have different color hair, different color eyes, or something much more different about her to support the very different writing style and the very different-ish direction this game has taken. Tone, music, a lot of things go into it, but it just feels weird. And they've already pushed this whole story where it's so sad, where there's like an android and she's like the Mother Brain, and she has the same relationship that Samus had with the Metroid and Super Metroid, where it sacrifices itself for, getting killed by Mother Brain. And yeah, honestly, this feels like Hunt Down the Freeman. This feels like a fan project or a fan homage to a real Metroid game, not an actual mainline Metroid game. And it's a very weird experience because there's nothing up front that gives it away as that thing, like the DMC spin-off or Hunt Down the Freeman. Is like, these are very obvious spin-offs, or this is very obviously a fan project. Here with Other M, it's licensed by Nintendo, it's an official product, it's an official game, it's seemingly part of the mainline series, but it's so radically different and just off tone that pretty much everyone in the Metroid community just has completely disowned it, if not totally forgotten about it, like I have. I literally forgot this game existed. So, is it a bad game? Yes. Is it a game you should hate? Not really. I think it's a game that should be forgotten and just like, oh, right, that happened. Anyway, there's not much else to say about it. Hopefully they make better Metroid games in the future. But yeah, just want to talk about this one. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'll see you later. Bye.